as better than themselves. And Father, they don't look on their own interests, but Father, they look on the interests of the people of this county as they lead and make decisions. And Father, I declare that the best is yet to come for Putnam County. Bless this meeting and all the business that happens in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor.
Well, before our pledge, I'd like to wish a happy birthday to our chairwoman. Join me in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Newbold almost threw me off my game. I almost started singing happy birthday instead of doing the pledge.
Please don't. I appreciate the thought, though. We
No
have
motion
approval
on
of the minutes.
Madam Chair, I move approval of the Board of County Commission regular meeting minutes March 11th as stated in our packet.
I second that.
Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Motion passes. All right, we'll recess our regular meeting and convene our Port Authority meeting. Approval of minutes from a meeting March 11th, 2025.
Madam Chair, I move approval of the Port Authority regular meeting minutes March 11th, 2025 as stated in our packet.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Motion passes. All right, do we have any public comment on Port Authority items only? Port Authority items. All right, seeing none. Do we have any general discussion from the board on Port Authority items? All right, we'll adjourn our Port Authority meeting and reconvene our regular Board of County Commission meeting. Mr. Mark Landers, are you going to be introducing our new Director of Putnam County Health Department? Welcome.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. How are we all doing this morning?
Good.
Great. Good morning.
Fantastic. It's a great honor for me to be here today to introduce the candidate for the new health officer for Putnam County. Ms. Duncan, I think a lifelong resident, has worked with me in my second role in Marion County for the past 7 years, been really running Marion County. She's been a fantastic individual to work with. So I don't want to steal very much of her thunder, so I'm just going to turn her over to y'all if you have any questions for her. But yeah, she's already been through the interview process with our Surgeon General, our Chief of Staff, and I can say with flying colors, she was picked for this position. So
Very good.
Good deal.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Duncan.
Thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself. So my name is Sherry Duncan. I am the proud to be a wife and a mother of two. I have over 20 years of public health experience, specifically in finance and accounting and administration. And I've kind of dedicated my career to improving the lives of others. So when I started in public health at a young age, I was just looking for a job. Little did I know that I would find a career, a fulfilling career, with a chance to serve and support my community. For the past 10 years at the Marion County Health Department, I have taken advantage of numerous opportunities for professional growth, which have led me to the person that I am today. So I am truly excited to bring my experience home to Putnam County. Together, I think we can do great things and strive to improve health outcomes for all of our residents.
Very good. Well, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Do commissioners have any comments or questions?
I do.
Sure, go ahead.
Hey, Sherry, I'm a little slow, but I finally realized exactly who you are now. But I would like to invite you to join me for the upcoming Putnam Behavioral Health Consortium meeting this week.
Perfect.
So we'll hit the ground running on that.
Okay.
And here's my card with my number on it, so you can reach out to me after the meeting if you don't mind. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so what Commissioner Alexander is talking about, we have, there's a meeting every month that's held, and a lot of that is providing resources and sharing resources and things that are going on in the community as far as public health, as far as mental health, and all kind of things. So that's a great idea. Good job.
Perfect.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, thank you for being here and congratulations on your new job.
Thank you.
And it's great to have someone from West Putnam. You know what's near and dear to my heart is the dental trailer. And the county bought a truck to be able to pull that thing around. Dental is very needed in our community.
Yes, it
Throughout Putnam County, from the south all the way to the west, north, south. So get that thing up and running. I'll be glad to help you. My daughter comes over from St. Augustine occasionally and volunteers in there. So whatever we can do to make that thing better. That was a really labor of love from a bunch of Rotary clubs. And I think the Kiwanis Club put some money into it also. But that's very important to me. So,
Great.
thank
I
you.
have some thoughts on that too, so we will definitely connect.
I gave you my card. I did it first, if you remember. Thank you. Thank you, Madam
Thank you,
Chair.
Commissioner Harvey.
West Putnam doesn't get all the resources first.
No, we, as you know, we have some needs in Putnam County, so it's exciting that you're here and that you're from here, and obviously that you have a heart for Putnam, and we really, truly appreciate that, and welcome aboard.
Thank you.
We'd love to get a picture with you if you'd like. Your husband can come up, and we'll get a picture. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I'll tell her, Grandma, picture. Take that.
Wear your public shirt. I love it. I was just at public this morning. You're welcome. Everybody here?
On three. 1, 2, 3. And one more. All right, thank you.
Keep getting stuff between our pictures. They're gonna say, oh, Walt Franklin.
I thought he was 6 feet tall.
All right, we're in rare form this morning, apparently. So before you leave, I guess we need to ratify your position. So is there a motion from the board?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to ratify the position of Sherry Duncan, Director of Putnam County Health Department.
I'll second that.
First and a second. Any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Congratulations. All right, next we have emergency services, recognizing the employees that have completed the apprenticeship and public safety training program.
Wow.
We're excited for this. Lots of great things happening in our community, and this is one of them. Good morning, Chief.
They all have mustaches.
Good morning, Commission.
too.
Stop.
I just want to take a few minutes of time, and I appreciate the time to bring these young men in front of you. I want to give you a little history on the program. About a year ago, Putnam County Fire Rescue noticed that the young men and women that were wanting to go into the fire service didn't have an opportunity to experience what the fire service was like. So we were able to create a 10-hour-a-week apprentice program that gave young men and women from the age of 16 up to ride with our trucks 10 hours a week to see if this was a career they were interested in before they went to school. These gentlemen behind me decided to go into fire school from our apprentice program. And we recognized at that time that some of them were struggling. Some of them were talking about dropping out of school because they just couldn't afford it. So we were able, fortunately, to create a 40-hour paid trainee position. So we could send these students could still go to school. And also what that did is it showed them that we were vested in them, and it prevented other counties from recruiting them and our local talent from under us. So to me, it's a great program that we've started to try to retain and recruit employees. At this time, I'd like to introduce Boomer Davis, Elijah Hernandez, Gavin Barnes, Justin Smith, and this young man is the last one in school. It's Jordan Campbell. He just finished his EMT last week, and he will be enrolling in fire school, or he's already enrolled, but we'll be starting fire school in 2 weeks. We also have 10 apprentices with Putnam County, and we'll be doing interviews for the public safety trainee position in June once high school graduation's over. So I just wanted to recognize them. I know a lot of other counties have tried this, but not quite as much success as Putnam County's had with it. So I think it's a great program. Thank you.
Very good. I know Mr. Grimes has something to say. JR.
I always do, because this is one program, honestly, that I'm proud of. We started with a vision from the Putnam County School District, along when I was at the city, of a CTE program inside the schools. And as Pastor Stiff said this morning, the best is yet to come, because we've got our first class coming out of high school that's going to do what these guys behind me have done. So we've got them waiting. There's some restrictions. They can't do anything before they have a high school diploma. So those students will filter in soon. And this was a way for us to reach into the community and find the kids that didn't necessarily have a path, right? So these kids behind us, I call them kids, young men behind us, to have a path of a career, because this isn't just a job. I mean, this is a pretty good career. I mean, if they'll look at it, I mean, they're doing very well. They've all spent many, many hours in class, school. I'm glad they chose Putnam County as a place where they wanted to work. I think they got a unique look that a lot of people don't get that we hire, because they got to spend 40 hours a week at DOC, fixing and repairing trucks, delivering supplies, going and picking things up, the things that keep the wheels turning that a lot of people don't get an exposure to. And as that trainee job, when school wasn't in, they got to assist fleet, they got to assist logistics. So they got an exposure to a lot of things that the normal new hire doesn't get. So I think it instills into them that there's other things that happen inside this organization other than answering 911 calls. So I'm extremely proud of them. There's one here that, I mean, I'm extremely proud of, because he grew up partially at my house. He's one of my extended kids. So it's just a great day for me. I'm excited for him. I think it's a great day for Putnam County and our fire rescue department. So I'm extremely proud, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Administrator Suggs, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple words to follow up on Chief Grimes's, Deputy Administrator Grimes and Chief Back's comments. You know, we've done quite a few things around here, a lot of positive things around here, but I'm going to tell you that this is one of those things that we can all take a lot of pride in, because of the situation that we found ourselves in a few years ago, you know, with the turnover and the staff and the things that we've been dealing with. But this is one of those homegrown programs. You know, we saw this morning, we brought the Department of Health Director back home. That's one of the things that we take a lot of pride in, and I am extremely proud of where we are with our fire rescue folks. It's a great organization. It's in great hands with Deputy Administrator Grimes and Chief Back and the rest of those folks over there. It's just doing tremendous things. And I as county administrator, I'm just extremely proud of these guys and what they're doing over there. And so another one of those moments that I think you five can be very proud of. You know, that's right on the heels of the paramedicine program and the things that we're doing there. So congratulations to all of you guys. Chief Hitchcock, you know, Chief Wright, thank you guys for all that you do. And to the young men there, thank you guys for what you do. And that's it, Madam Chair. I appreciate it. Thank you for the amount of time.
And if I could, I mean, it takes a lot of wheels to keep this program running, and there's a few ladies that are sitting there in the back that are going to come up here in just a second, but we couldn't do this program without them, and that's Miss Sabrina, Miss Gee, Miss Katie, because they're the ones that keep these guys in line, keep them on track, keep them in school, making sure they have all the resources they need. So even though they're not standing up here yet, they'll be here next, but I just would like to tell them thank you publicly, that they keep all of us really in line and make sure we're doing what we need to do. So we couldn't do it without them. So thank you very much.
Well, Ms. Gee's pretty serious, so she keeps a lot of people in line.
That's very true.
That is very true, right?
That's very true.
But
So,
thank you for the vision on this and making this happen, the whole entire team. This is exactly the kind of things that we should be doing in Putnam County. And like you said, if there's a gap and we have young people that are growing up in this community and they don't know exactly what their future is, this is a wonderful way to fill that gap. And kudos to everybody involved, because this is very much needed. It's a win-win for Putnam, so thank you.
it is. And I mean, some of this, I mean, I don't keep meaning to take up your time, but we noticed as we started interviewing employees, as they would come in here, we'd hire them, and they would come to work for 6 months and go, ooh, this isn't what I signed up for. Because, I mean, they went to all that school, so they never had an exposure to it. So I think the early beginning where they get their exposure is really important, because it may not be what they need to do. But the program has grown. Like Chief Back said, it's got over 10 in it now. They're going to do more interviews. So that's going to be that's our future of our department, growing right here locally. And we have some kids that are coming in from It's a great feeling when you have parents that work here that bring their children into an environment where they work and able to go through the apprentice program too. So that's always a great feeling too when you have employees that are willing to let their children come here to work. So we have several of those that are engaged or into the program as well. So if we can get them at this stage, I think we got a lot better chance of keeping them. So we're
Very
extremely
good.
proud of them.
Very good. We're excited to have you guys on board, so thank you very much. If y'all want to come up and get a picture, you're welcome to invite your family or whoever you have with you today. Miss Gee, I know you're out there. Come on, Miss Gee. Come on, Sabrina. Y'all come on. Don't be shy. I'm here. All right, on three. 1, 2, 3. And again. Lori Parker, Human Resources, Employee of the Month.
Good morning.
Good
Everyone's
morning.
coming up again. I'm Lori Parker with Human Resources, and we received nominations for Employee of the Month. And the nominations are received by supervisors and peers that work with the county. And the Employee of the Month is awarded to Katie Parrish with Fire EMS.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Katie.
Go first.
I just want to let y'all know that Katie is truly a blessing to the county, and she is one of the best employees that the county has, and we are thankful to have her working in our department and being a part of our team.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right, Mr. Grimes, I know you're up.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you guys again for the opportunity. Miss Katie, it's a very unique situation we have out there with Miss Gee and Miss Sabrina. But you got to go through an extensive interview process, and when they come to me and go, "We got the one," I'm like, "Sweet," because I mean, a lot of times you have the right people, or you had a lot of applications, and sometimes it takes people. And Miss Gee told me one week, and she says, "I got to go home and pray about this one." I said, "Well, go home and pray about it." So she came home the next week, or Monday, and she says, "I've got clarity." I was like, "Good, let's hire her." And ever since then, Sabrina came down the hallway, and she goes, "You got to put Katie in for Employee of the Month." I said, "No, you do." So she, as a peer, wrote Katie up for Employee of the Month. She does a phenomenal job. She takes care of all of our EMS supplies. She makes sure that the guys and ladies on the street have everything they need. She also does part of the new hire program, because it is an extensive background, extensive hiring process that we have to put everybody through to get onto the fire rescue. So these ladies behind me here, they make that wheel turn. So I'm extremely proud of them. And thank you, Miss Katie, for joining the team. And thank you, guys, for all you do.
Thank you.
Okay. Picture time.
Absolutely. Come on up. Before we go into county-wide project updates, I wanted to welcome Samantha Wernett, who is the district aide to Representative Judson Sapp. We appreciate you being here, and you're welcome to come the second and fourth Tuesday of every month. Thank you. We're going to take a 3-minute recess. I also want to recognize Miss Jane West from the city of Palatka. Thank you for being here. All right, Ms. Young, if you want to go into countywide project updates.
Good morning, Chair Lady. I'm bringing you the quarterly update. Just as a reminder, this is not intended to be an all-encompassing list of every project or initiative underway by county departments. It's intended to be a snapshot of those most important to administration, the departments, and/or the citizens. With that, we'll begin with Port Putnam. The Port Infrastructure Development Plan is complete. The bulkhead design, engineering, and permitting are underway. The advanced port security system is to be completed in the near future. Port Putnam is moving forward ahead of schedule. The animal control facility, the main building, and the kennel buildings are currently under construction and moving along towards completion. The John Theobald Sports Complex, the parking lot was resealed and relined. The batting cage pavilion is installed. The volleyball shade structure has been installed, and the pickleball shade structure is in permitting. The Barden Community Park, the shade structure is in permitting and is ready to be installed. San Mateo Community Park, the new playground set is tentatively scheduled to begin installation in May. The Bostrick Park The shade structure is in the permitting stage. We will coordinate installation around the Boston Blueberry Festival coming up April 26th. The Putnam Aquatic Center officially opened for the season as of yesterday. The impact fee study, the draft report has been received. County staff and the consultant are reviewing the data. The consultant is tentatively scheduled to present the final findings to the BOCC at the next commission meeting. Fort Gates Ferry Landing, funding sources for the required repairs needed to open the west landing are being explored through grant opportunities. St. John's Avenue resurfacing, Palm Avenue to CSX crossing at the Palatka Fire Department, the construction project is complete. Dirt to pave 2022, the project is complete. Dirt to pave 2023, the construction is ongoing. Dirt to pave 2024, the final design work is underway. The bid documents are under development, and we anticipate going out to bid in May. St. John's Avenue drainage improvement, State Road 19 to County Road 309C, the project is complete, and the closeout paperwork for the grant is in progress. County Road 315 resurfacing project from State Road 20 to State Road 100, the construction is complete. County Road resurfacing project design from State Road 20 to the county line. The design is complete. The RFQ for CEI, Construction Engineering Inspection Services, will be issued this week. CEI is required by FDOT to be retained prior to issuing the bid for construction. Paradise Point Sewer Hardening and Generator Installation Project. Staff is collaborating with DEP to make the modifications to the scope of work. East Palatka Septic to Sewer Project Phase 4, bids for construction are due April 29, 2025. San Mateo Water Extension Project, the water main is complete and conversion is underway. We've put about 20% of the meters in the ground and are beginning to work to complete the hookups from the meter to the homes. North Putnam Drainage Project, surveying is complete. Preliminary design basins will be presented to determine the best method to proceed. South Putnam Drainage Project, Phase 1 of the project is complete. We are waiting on final surveys to make sure the outfall has the correct elevation for movement of the water to close out Phase 1. Phase 2 bids were due this week. East Palatka Water Main Expansion, ARPA funded. The project is complete. Putnam County Water Infrastructure Project, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Funding documents have been received and properly executed. The project start date is pending federal concurrency and release of federal funds. HMGP Putnam County Boulevard Lift Station Generator. The project has been awarded and the generator has been ordered. HMGP Paradise Point Retention Pond. The executed funding agreement has been obtained and a proposal for design services is under review by the county engineer. County Road Resurfacing Fiscal Year 23. The project is complete. County Road Resurfacing Fiscal Year 24. The design is in progress. Guardrail Repairs Fiscal Year 25. The bid has been awarded and is expected to start work in the middle of April. Curry Road Lift Station Generator, we have an HMGP grant for 75% of the funding. We are awaiting the HMGP match for the other 25. This project will be fully grant funded. The sanitation office building, the office is being finished. The final interior items are being checked off, and the project should be complete by May of 2025.
I have one question, and if you said it, I missed it. St. John's Harbor Water Plant, do we have an update on that, other than I know it's operational and working, but do we have a plan on what we're actually doing to the future, for the future?
I can answer some of that. Yes, some of the repairs have been made. They've worked on some pumps. They've repaired some fence work out there. Mr. Knowles is working with FDEP on what needs to happen with the retention pond area. So if Mr. Knowles is here, he may have a little bit more insight, but I know that he's been working with FDEP trying to get all the permitting and all that squared away with that particular plant. So it's on the move. It's just a matter of getting to the design of the retention area. That's the biggest thing.
Okay, all right, that was one of my questions. Are there any questions from the board? Commissioner Alexander?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for your report, Ms. Holmes. Can you give me an update on where we're at as far as our impact fee study?
Yes, sir. The consultant sent over a final draft report that they are scheduled to review with staff to make sure everything is in order. And then we anticipate the consultant being here to present that report and to discuss with you your options at the next meeting, the April 22nd.
April 22nd?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, one other question. Boat ramps. So Dunn's Creek and Georgetown, they're both funded, and they're both, in the review for?
Allocated to them. They have both we've awarded the design and permitting scope of the works for the initial Dunn's Creek boat ramp and the Georgetown to CRG Architects. The Board of County Commissioners did that in previous years, so we're just waiting on all of those documents to come back so that we will have the design specifications that we need to issuance a bid for construction.
If we can just check on that, it seems like, and I know that CRG has a lot going on, I don't disagree, but if we can just check on that, because it seems, if you haven't noticed, there's a lot of discussion about it right now.
Not a problem. And for those two projects, permitting is the time-consuming process for both of those. Boat ramp permitting takes a little bit longer than just traditional boat ramp. or
Because that goes
torture.
through DEP?
Because, yes.
Okay.
And, yes.
Okay. But we don't have any dredging at either one of those places, is that correct? That's
Not anticipated.
not anticipated. And then parking, I can't remember, but there was a pretty good bit of
Parking for
count.
both ramps has been allocated, or has been designed in the conceptual design, and both bid documents include initial parking.
And there, can you remember how many spots? I thought, I didn't
Different
want
at each location, so I think there are roughly 70 in Dunn's Creek, and there is a kind of a parking area for boats and stuff close to the river, and then one up at the street level for Georgetown, so I can get you an exact count.
Okay, all right, very good. Commissioner Harvey?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Julianne, thank you for your report, and I tell you, honestly, we started this a few years back, and there's a lot going on in Putnam County, and we're constantly, like I said, opening the doors and trying to throw more balls in the air for y'all to keep up with. But animal control, when do we have any idea when we're going to get the keys to that building? Because it's been promised a long time. It's nobody's fault. It's just, delay, but
I do understand, in lieu of not promising something we can't deliver, we are hopeful for a summer grand opening.
great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yep. Commissioner Alexander, you recognized?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. I just wanted to provide you and the public with an update. Sam Sullivan, our grant writer, has submitted for engineering funding for a study at the additional boat ramp on the south side of Dunn's Creek as well.
Okay.
So that's looking very promising as well.
All right, very good. And Julianne, this, as usual, this report gets uploaded onto the county's website, so it's viewable for anybody to see, and we appreciate that. We're trying to put everything that we know that the public would want to see out on our website for transparency purposes. Are there any other questions from the board? All right, moving on into planning and development. County-initiated text amendment. This is meeting 1 out of 2. Good morning, Mr. Baker.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners, Madam Chair. Happy
Yes.
birthday.
Thank you.
For the record, Zachary Baker, Planning and Development Services. This is LDC 25-000001. I do have a PowerPoint prepared that summarizes kind of the changes.
Okay.
So I'll go through that real quick. All right, so this would be an amendment to Articles 2, 3, 6, 7, 9, 11, 12, and 13 of the Putnam County Land Development Code. And really, it's just a consistency effort to make sure that all of the language provided in that document is easily digestible and also easily enforceable for county staff. So this blurb here essentially says why we have to have 2 public hearings on this item. At the end of today's initial hearing, we're asking that the Board of County Commissioners identify a date and time for the second hearing, and it needs to be at least 10 days after the first hearing, and we need 5 days to advertise. To summarize, so within Article 2, Division 3, we've got the inclusion of emergency services as a use allowed by right in the commercial professional office and commercial neighborhood zoning district. We have an inclusion of accessory dwelling units with an approved special use permit for existing commercial uses in all the commercial zoning districts. In Article 2, Division 4, we've got the inclusion of non-residential farm buildings for bona fide farms prior to the establishment of a primary use. We have a modification to Table 2.04A relating to ADUs in commercial districts. We've added a setback exemption for well houses not exceeding certain area and volume sizes. There's also a clarification added further restricting recreational vehicles on vacant residential and agricultural zone properties. It should be noted here that proposed amendment came from our code enforcement department, which also came from our magistrate. They were having an issue with enforcement of that particular section of the Land Development Code. Article 3, Division 2, we're adding language for building setback requirements on lands with artificial ponds, clarified permit type for artificial ponds, made some consistency efforts in the mobile home park Land Development Codes section. We struck requirements of public work approval for drainage improvements at mobile home parks as they are reviewed by the Development Review Committee and Water Management District. We also struck some language requiring emergency storm shelters in mobile home parks because we don't have any regulations for those specific uses. For Article 6, Division 3, we've included canals to other aquatic features specified as water bodies. Article 7, Division 2, there's a modification to Table 7.02A, changing the maximum impervious surface for the residential 2 zoning district to be consistent with other single-family districts. Article 7, Division 10, this was a public works request, which was suggested removal of the distinction between major and minor collectors, and then also a modification to LDC Section 45616 to conform with current culvert types and materials. For Article 7, Division 11 and access management, we clarified the use of an easement for driveway purposes. Article 9, Division 2, we've proposed some revisions to the minimum right-of-way width for existing developments, which can be approved without petitioning the Board of County Commissioners. We narrowed the right-of-way width requirement. In Article 9, Division 4, for variances, we struck some language that required a property owner and or applicant to provide us with contact information, as we do that on our own. We also clarified language defining what the maximum setback reductions could be for the Administrative Deviation Committee to hear and consider.
Go back to that slide, please.
Yes, ma'am.
So let me make sure I understand. So proposed revision to minimum right-of-way width
Yes, ma'am.
for existing developments which can be approved with petitioning the board. So can you explain that a little bit further?
Yes, ma'am. So within Land Development Code Section 45-797, which is previously approved developments, this is going to be related to our antiquated subdivisions. It's in that packet that I put in y'all's boxes yesterday. Essentially, what it says is the Director of Public Works can approve the use of a right-of-way that was previously platted at 35 foot in width. Anything less than 35 foot in width, the applicant would have to come to the Board of County Commissioners to seek approval. We simply dropped that number from 35 to 30. We did the same thing in Appendix 9, which shows the cross-section of what a right-of-way, standard typical right-of-way would look like, and we just aligned the language to be 30 foot for Director of Public Works approval.
Okay.
Anything less would still come to the board.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted clarity.
Yes, ma'am. Moving along, under the Development Review Committee section, we reinstated language identifying who the voting and non-voting members were for the DRC. In Article 12, Division 8, we added a clarification for lot of record and parent track in the definition of Section 45-1032. We also suggested a revision for exempt subdivisions to be called boundary line adjustments. In Article 12, Division 9, the procedure for obtaining a lot split, we added a procedure which would allow any administrative subdivision to be omitted from review by the county surveyor if the applicant provides a third-party approval of the proposed survey map and legal description. We also added language defining and detailing how to achieve a de facto subdivision. And then finally, in Article 13, our definitions, We added definitions for canal and de facto subdivision, as well as made a couple minor changes to some of the other definitions. At the March 12th, 2025 Planning Commission public hearing, the Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the proposed text amendment with those certain changes that are listed in the minutes of the agenda packet item. Staff is recommending the Board of County Commissioners identify any changes requested for this proposed text amendment and schedule the adoption hearing for this matter at a date and time which adheres to the confines of Section 125.665B Florida statutes.
Thank you.
Can I take questions now?
Yes, Commissioner Harvey, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Would this be the right time to kind of go through some of the
Yes,
questions
sir.
I have?
I believe so.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Zach, emergency services, it looks like we're trying to put that in all zoning districts. Is that correct?
That was the original intent, yes, sir. But before we brought the item to the Board of County Commissioners, based off of the recommendation of the Planning Commission, we decided to strike that from agriculture, ag estate, residential 1, 2, 3, and 4, and RMH. So we would only be allowing them, if this was adopted, in the CPO and C1 zoning districts by right. They were previously allowed with a special use permit.
Kind of by right. I mean, it's protection of our public citizens out there. I think it should be in every zoning district. So I appreciate you doing that. Zach, if you go to, and my pages aren't numbered, but section 45-110, when you talk about pump houses and their height can be no higher than 8 feet, what's the reasoning for 8 feet? Because if somebody had an aerator, a tall pump, a tall tank, they're going to run out of room there. I mean, are you trying to limit them from building the 20-foot edifices? Or, I think 8 feet might just be a little tiny, but mine's not that big, let me say, but I'm just asking.
No, sir. So the height restriction is to simply attempt to mitigate any visibility triangle issues and have the least amount of obstruction in any sort of line of sight on a right-of-way. Because what our intention here is many people with smaller lots have to place their well and septic within the principal building setbacks. Well, now you've got, a well by itself. Who knows how much they cost nowadays? $6,000, $8,000, plus all your water softener equipment. Mine was $5,000. We've got that sitting out in the sun. And those property owners deserve the right to protect that investment as it provides potable water for their home. But with some certain limitations that we don't want a 25 by 25 giant, 2-car garage right there on the front property line. Also, with the area, which is, I think, 60 square feet is what we're proposing, so 6 by 10, something similar, 8 by 8, you're not going to find a handy house or one of those small prefab sheds that are going to be much taller than that 8-foot structure. Now, that doesn't prevent somebody from building their own, but they would just have to limit it to that 8 foot in height.
Okay. And on, again, I don't have the page numbers here, but section 45-131, where we talk about recreational vehicles as temporary shelters. And if you go to the next page where it's highlighted in red, and it basically says on the last sentence, RVs in violation of this provision will be subject to removal. Removal by who?
Well, that's a very good question, sir. Again, this was a specific text amendment from our code enforcement department, which trickled down from the magistrate. So I would presume that would be removal by the county, and it would be one of those situations where we would put a lien on the property, or we would somehow abate that cost from the property owner who was subject to that removal.
My issue is that we're preempted from the state legislators of driving by and seeing trailers or travel trailers or motorhomes being used as residents. We are. Unless the neighbor complains, pretty much can't do a whole lot about it. You could drive out in my district and spend all day.
We could spend a month.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say, subject to removal, I've never been the commissioner that wanted to impose something that we can't enforce. And if we're not going to do that, I mean, if we have intention to go in there and removing them after we tell them so far, I don't have a problem with that. I just have a problem by saying we're going to do it and don't have the mechanism to do it when that time comes.
Sure, I understand. I wish I could speak more intelligently on that matter. Again, this was a code enforcement request. But I can seek some clarification and get more information, bring it back to you all at the date of adoption.
Well, I want to have some discussion.
Go
if you
right
have
ahead.
it. So, just for public purposes, this is what it states. Under no circumstances is an RV to be stored, left, or abandoned on a vacant property. Vacant is defined as having no dwelling unit on the property. RVs in violation of this provision will be subject to removal. So your point is good on who is that and how do you do that. But second of all, if somebody owns a piece of vacant property, we're going to say you can't leave your camper there? I mean, I'm sort of having some issue with that because, I mean, we have people that are snowbirds and they just come down and park their camper and then they're gone the rest of the year and then they might show up and stay for a couple of weeks and leave. And so we're going to tell them they can't do that?
Well, so in short, yes, ma'am. So the land development code is prescriptive, and within our land development code, when you get to commercial general, the C3 zoning district, you can have a recreational vehicle sales, storage, and repair.
Right.
So none of the residential zoning districts allow for the storage of an RV. Now, that would be a simple vacant lot, nothing there. It is just got a single RV on it, and nobody lives there, nobody's staying there, what have you. If you have a property that has been developed and it has a pole barn or some sort of structure to store the RV in, then we wouldn't be messing with those. We are specifically looking for those units that are just out in the middle of Interlochen Lake Estates or some other residential area where somebody has parked that RV and they camp there. We have plenty of campgrounds in Putnam County for them to stay at.
I'm struggling with this one, to be honest. I do understand that we don't want people living in campers, but the reality is people are doing it every day in Putnam County. And I don't know that this helps that situation. This is more of a, somebody just parked their camper on a piece of property and then they're there part of the year or for 30 days, and which we allow. And, right, we allow 30 days?
Well, yes, ma'am. In some instances, as of right now, it would be 14 consecutive days or 60 non-consecutive days in the residential zoning district, 90 and 180 consecutive and non-consecutive days in the agricultural zoning district. And keep in mind that the provisions of this code section we're speaking of is recreational vehicles as a temporary shelter. So if someone is bringing their RV out and leaving it on a vacant piece of property in perpetuity and coming and staying in it when they desire, well, that's not really the intent of this section of the Land Development Code.
Well, it's also under the agriculture zoning district in the paragraph below it. Is that not the same sentence?
Yes, ma'am, that is.
So
yes.
it's not just under residential, it's also under ag.
That'd be correct.
So, in rural counties, people, people do this all the time. I'm not saying it's a great idea, but let me ask you a question. If somebody has a piece of property and they've got 2 old trucks that their grandfather left them and they still have them on the property and that's the only thing left on that vacant property, do we make them move those trucks?
We would ask them if they were registered, but ultimately, no, they would not be required to remove those trucks.
Okay. So you see what I'm saying? I mean, you're okay with your leaving an abandoned vehicle, but we're not okay, but we're going to say you can't leave it. I don't know. I'm just sort of like, I'm about less rules, not more rules. So I'm struggling with this one a little bit. I know it's an effort to clean up, but then how we cleaning it up, to Commissioner Harvey's point, is how we cleaning it up.
Well, I do understand and appreciate that, and that would be something that our code enforcement department
Yeah, I think I need
would
to have some
navigate.
more one-on-one conversation to understand the intent of this, the full intent of it. I just struggle when we continue to restrict our citizens and restrict them. If somebody owns a property and they just are putting their camper there until they're building their house and what, I don't know, I'm just struggling with it, to be honest, because I just feel like that adding more and more restrictions to our citizens, and that's always an issue for me.
Yes, ma'am, and I understand that too. What this is asking about is able to hold people who are not, have a unregistered vehicle, have lots of things happening. These aren't the people you were talking about. These are
Right.
the individuals who are living in it and have been living in it for years, and there's stuff all over the yard. There's a lot happening at these sites.
There
And
is
so
that.
this was given to us from the magistrate and the legal counsel there to be able to have something concrete to say, this is how we get the land cleaned up. And so we do it all the time. They needed something more concrete, and this is what we brought. This is what they brought to us to say this is more concrete where we have it. If people are doing what they're supposed to on the property, and we have to come out there and say, hey, pick this up, they do it all the time. And we look for compliance. We don't look to make people get off their piece of property. We look for compliance. And so in this is asked from them to be able to get people to clean up what they want. If you guys don't want that, that's fine too. We'll just take that out. I don't mind at all. We're here for what you guys want.
Well,
So-
we do, your point is well taken, I appreciate that. We do have a lot of mobile homes that are just sitting around and looking very bad in our community. I don't disagree. We can move on. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Zach, one thing you said to our chair lady, basically if there was a pole barn, that might work, but clearly it says a dwelling unit on the property, so pole barn would not work in this case. So I think we do need to look at cleaning that up a little bit.
Certainly, and I guess it's worth noting too, when I mentioned the accessory structure, we do have within the ag zoning district, there are certain entitlements that would allow somebody to place a barn on their shed or on their property prior to a home. And so, out of sight, out of mind, right? That's the name of the game.
Right.
Okay, moving on to,
I'm sorry, can I go back, Commissioner Alexander? I think you had a question
please,
on that
yeah.
subject matter. Go ahead, Commissioner.
No, I'm in agreement with both you and Commissioner Harvey regarding this. I'm not in favor of placing additional restrictions on people that are, finding housing is a struggle. And we want to make it easier, but we also, the purpose of this, correct me if I'm wrong, is to add some teeth so that we can remove the derelict structures. So it gives us an option. But additionally, I don't want to limit people that are trying to better themselves, and if they are planning on building and growing, and if we're adding pole barns, that's an additional cost that they could have moved into, that's another 10 grand that they could have rolled into the house and gotten into the house quicker. So like Mr. Helms said, if there's an option to remove this today and have a workshop or a discussion, so maybe we can find something that we as a group can get behind, I would like to do that.
I see the intent. I do. I see what you're trying to do, and I'm not against that, because like I said, I know that we have to clean up properties, and this is what code enforcement is saying would help them. But it's just a struggle for me, to be honest. So I think can we just have further conversation about this? And
Yeah, I mean, yeah, y'all can tell us how to proceed. If you would like to see this during the adoption without any changes to this section at all, we can certainly do that. If there's a way that you would like to set up a workshop and give staff more clarification or direction on how to proceed, we can do that too.
Commissioner Alexander.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea, because I think that we've got a lot of knowledge and stuff here. I would like for all of us to get together on something as complex as this and affects as many people as it is, to spend more time on it than just a 5-minute discussion at the dais.
Okay. All right, we'll do that. We'll have a workshop on that issue. And there might be something else that comes up. Go ahead.
thank you, Madam Chair. Under section 45616, roadway drainage, next page where it says, or high performance, I'm not going to even try to attempt to read that word. Why are we even spelling out what the drainage pipe needs to be? Why don't we just, if it's suitable for public works, it's suitable. I mean, because what if 5 years from now, they have a brand new product that isn't high performance polypropylene?
Polypropylene.
Yeah, or maybe it's something better than that. And then we're back here fixing it up again. Let's just leave it up to the standards of the day. I mean, back in the Egyptian times, it was bricks in a circle. I mean, I'm just saying, I think we just don't need to cause ourselves to come back and back and back. So why don't we just leave that out completely and whatever works for the day, that day, 5 years from now, let it work for that. And be done with all this concrete and high performance, and let's just approve by the Public Works Director, whatever works for that day.
So, go ahead, Zach.
There.
So I guess my question here is the 616, I am illiterate when it comes to culvert materials, 100%.
Me too.
And I can see what you're saying. I mean, let's not put the name of the material in there. Let's just say an approved,
Yeah.
FDOT approved material, what have you. If it's okay with the board, I would like for maybe Mr. Knowles to help engage on this, if it's something that we want to address right now.
Yeah, I think so. I think we need to. If you're looking for direction, I think we have to. Otherwise, we'll be having this meeting at every meeting for the next 3 meetings.
And I don't know if I want to go FDOT approved. I mean, golly, sometimes that could be, we might come across an item that they haven't approved yet.
Well, I agree with the not going with FDOT approved, because there's some FDOT materials that I wouldn't suggest putting under our roadways. I'm just saying, you have to remember they approved putting PVC pipe, A2000 pipe on the roads, and now they don't. So, but I have no problem with having it as approved by the Public Works Director. We're just trying to clarify some of the materials that are listed in there are materials that don't exist anymore. You can't get bituminous coating on pipes anymore. They don't exist.
So could we say all cross-drain pipes approved by a Public Works Director?
It could be. The only reason I was spelling it out is because we don't really have standard details on that. We could lean on standard details for pipe material under roadways and under driveways as an alternative to that. Okay. I'm fine either way with that.
You know what, Commissioner? I'm at the point that I say we just table this, and I can't make a motion, so, and that we just put it on the whole entire thing on a workshop and then bring it back for a first and second reading. I think we have too many questions at this point.
Madam Chair, I'd like to propose that we table this and come to a workshop meeting and work out these situations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, Commissioner Alexander?
No, ma'am, that was my suggestion.
Okay, great. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Zach. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just feel like that we've got to get there with you and with staff and fully understand the whole intention of this. So we'll set up a workshop, and then we'll come back and present this at a further date. All right, moving along, amending the Putnam County Code of Contractors License Qualification. Is Leo here? Hi, Leo. I'm not sure who's doing this presentation. Brian, is this you or you and Leo?
I'll talk for a minute, and Leo will kind of give an explanation.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so the beginning of this came from a citizen that brought this up with us, saying our standards were higher than what state and what other counties around us. We looked into it. We are currently sitting at a 75, and there are other counties around us that are at 70. We brought it to our contractor board. They made some recommendation, which you have in front of you here. I'm going to have Leo explain a little more of the test, because his brain works a little better with all of that in regards to the amount of questions and things of that manner, and then we can have a discussion about where you guys want to be, or
Okay.
again, what you would like to do.
All right, thank you, Leo. Thank you, Brian.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
So I'm Leo Waitson, Planning and Development. On the surface, when you're comparing apples and apples, it's like the state's offering the test at 70% for a passing score, and so why wouldn't we at the local level offer a score of 70%? The thing is, the state test is significantly more questions. It's a 220 question test for general contractor. It's actually 240 for general contractor. It's 240 for the building contractor, and the residential contractor is around 215 questions. Whereas conversely, we're offering the same test at 130 for general contractor, 130 for building contractor, and about 110 for a residential contractor. So, and then you also have your trades, your electrical, mechanical, plumbing, and for all of those trades, other than electrical, they're all more questions at the state level than they are at the local level. And there are more questions in the electrical exam than they are at the local level. But if the person at the state test was taking and passing at a 70, and a person at the local level was passing at 100, they've still taken less test questions than at the state level. So what's really happening is you have a little bit of a reduced standard in testing quality. I would describe it such as that. And they didn't have to pass a background check here locally. They didn't have to pass a credit score rating, like the state would vet them in that way. So the idea is a person could build a business in the local community at a little bit lesser standard, and then develop that business and one day petition to move up to the state license, which then would unleash them onto the entire state. So really, it's just a policy decision on your part. Do you feel like we're at the testing standard we need to be, or are you willing to reduce the testing standard to a lower score? And that's basically what it boils down to.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Harvey, you recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Leo, thank you for your testimony here today. Question for you, though, does 5 points really make a difference? And that's what I guess that's my, I mean, I took the insurance test twice and made 74, and then finally made 76. I mean, so.
But they're two different tests, you're understanding that, okay.
I get that, but.
It doesn't on one level. The thing is the folks that tend to build quite often are dyslexic, and they're not test takers.
Right.
And they are the most fantastic builders you've ever met. So I'm not even sure. Testing is just a metric, and it's also a standard that's been established since before I even began a career at Putnam County. When I worked in the real world, I also had to take a test, and pass it. And I found test taking to be quite easy. But I have people that I respected that would go up and take the test, and they couldn't make it, and I thought they were superior to me as electricians and such. And so 2 points is not that much of a difference.
Yeah.
It's really 2 questions.
So let me follow up with this. Is the county test really necessary if somebody comes to us with a state license? Is the county test necessary?
No.
And are other counties, are they all standard? Let's say that your test in Putnam is the same as St. John's and Clay and Marion and a lot.
I absolutely could not speak to that.
Okay, thank you.
That's all your questions?
That's it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Alexander.
Leo, that was the most poignant statement I've heard in a while. The best carpenter that I've ever met, the most talented guy that I've ever seen, building, engineering, does it all at his house with a 6th grade education. Could he pass any of these tests? Probably not. But if he's building something commercially, residential, is he going to get inspected by the same inspectors that the guy that passed the test with a 100 score? So he's going to be held to the same standard no matter what he got on the score, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that kind of answers my question.
All right. Commissioner Newbold.
So you looked at the surrounding counties, and most of them are at the 70 score. Is that correct?
So it varies, and so let me go through. So we have Alachua County and St. Johns County are at 70. Everybody else is at 75. So that I only did Putnam, Alachua, Baker, Clay, Flagler, Marion, St. John's, and Volusia. So only in the state also. So the state, Alachua, and St. John's are currently at 70, which is what we
So
have.
is that 3 out of 8?
3 out of 8, yeah.
Okay.
And I just kind of did what was touching us, and then like Baker's similar to us. So we
Okay.
kinda brought that in.
Okay, I'm pretty comfortable moving it to 70, considering they're going to go through the same procedures as everybody else as far as
They're still going to have to pull permits. We're still going to inspect everything. All of that's not changing at all. It's just their license that would be.
Thank you.
Commissioner, are you okay?
I'm fine.
Commissioner Palacier. Thank you. I'm going.
The state standard, I think, is adequate here. And when you said the other counties around us, Alachua and St. John's, if you look at us as far as if we were to be in the line of fire of a hurricane, we're kind of in that same level. And if St. John's, who is right on the front line, thinks that level is adequate enough, I certainly have no problem with that. And the state standard should be accepted, I think, across the board, in my opinion.
Okay, so let's just clarify. So this policy is in place to protect our citizens from getting bad contractors. That's number one. And so it's our job to make sure that we are doing our best to make sure that they do not have a problem with a bad contractor. So if somebody come in with a state, you answered this question, somebody comes in with a state license, they wouldn't have to do any county. Could we just make the requirement be you have a state license, or by doing that, would we be eliminating our local contractors?
Well, yes, you could. That's to answer your question. What the other side of that coin is, it's very difficult to get into the state license, and a person could come to Putnam County and develop a business here.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually they could work to that state license and then expand that business to all parts of the state. It could be very difficult for some folks to break into the state level of contracting and maybe never succeed, whereas you could start here at Putnam County or St. Johns County, whatever county it is you choose to work in, and you could build a business. And then they have the ability with the counties that cooperate with us to reciprocate that license into the adjoining counties and maybe a little bit beyond. We only looked at the ones that touched us because they're the most likely ones we're going to reciprocate with, not to say that we may not reciprocate with others. The idea here is that it's a little bit lesser standard, but they're local. So if their reputation is going bad or there's complaints coming in, we're handling it here, and the community kind of knows what's going on too. Whereas if you've got a guy at the state level, he can go 300 miles away and find different people to victimize if that's what he chooses or he or she chooses to do. I think there's a benefit to having a local licensing program.
So the fact that it's a different test, while that's factual, I mean, obviously they have a higher testing number. They got to take, what'd you say, 220 for the state test versus 130 general contractor for the local level.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
don't see that as a problem.
The testing standard being a little bit lower for the local license, I definitely don't see as a problem. The idea is you have to start somewhere. And if you could build time in a business in Putnam County and expand that business to the state level, more power to you is the way I feel about it.
I just want to make sure we're protecting our citizens. So basically, the new proposal drops the passing score from 75 to 70, and then it adds a proof of financial security. And of course, it also includes years of experience and going in front of the Contractors Review Board. If it was a state license, would they still go in front of the Contractors Review Board?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right, that's important. Okay, Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Leo, real quick, who sets up this test that someone takes locally?
So we rely on Sherry Poplin to handle that. She supports the board through our staff, and a person would appear before the contractor's board, be approved to take the test, and then they would get a candidate packet from Ms. Poplin and work their test from that point.
But they still have to meet state standards when building a home. Our standards are
They have to meet the Florida Building Code, yes, sir.
Yes, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Alexander. Push the button.
We keep each other in check around here, don't we? No, I echo what you said regarding protecting our citizens.
Right.
And the great thing about that is Leo and his group, they have to inspect every aspect of it and hold them to the state code that that Commissioner Harvey just echoed. So I think it's a good idea based on that, because they're still held to that standard of the Florida State Building Code, and we're still using our inspectors to hold them to that standard.
All right. Commissioner Newbold.
I'd like to move that we adopt the proposed change to this ordinance.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you, Leo, for your presentation, and Mr. Helms. Public comment on agenda items. This portion of the agenda is designed to allow citizens an opportunity to bring matters to the attention of the board. It is not reasonable to expect that the board will engage in debate or deliberation about matters on which the board has received no prior information as part of the agenda. Please limit to 3 minutes. Public comment cards are conveniently located in the meeting room entrance and should be submitted prior to the meeting to the deputy clerk and sits to the right of the podium. And we have one card. Mr. Woodward, sorry, my apologies. Welcome. Thank you for coming in. You have some comments on the LDC text amendment?
Yes, it seems either a little after the fact or a little before the fact.
Well, the good part was we tabled it, so we're going to still have 2 readings. So, yeah, I get that. I didn't realize this is what your card said, or I would have certainly called you up sooner.
Appreciate
My apologies.
The amendment package document that was presented to you today has a lot of good things in it.
Okay.
And I certainly appreciate the initiative of Mr. Baker and the effort that he put into it, as well as the efforts of the Planning Commission in reviewing it and making their recommendation. The slightly unusual circumstance that brings me here today is that what was presented to you today includes a change that is directly contrary to the recommendation of the Planning Commission. If you turn to page, and I'm here to defend the Planning Commission's recommendation.
Okay.
Okay, just so you know what side I'm on. If you turn to page 31 in your packet, that's the final page of the draft minutes of the Planning Commission meeting. And the motion was to recommend approval of the amendment package to the BOCC as presented, with the exception that emergency services still require a special use permit in ag, residential, CPO, C1, etc. What was presented to you today in the package removes the requirement of a special use permit in CPO and C1, and instead makes emergency services uses a use by right in those districts, meaning that there would be no notice to the public, no opportunity to be heard. It would just, any type of emergency service facility would automatically be allowed anywhere in CPO or C1. The Land Development Code currently allows emergency services uses by right in C2, C3, C4, light industrial, heavy industrial, and heavy public use. They're currently, emergency services uses are currently allowed by special use permit in all agricultural and residential zones and in CPO and C1. The Land Development Code's current requirement for a special use permit in those zones, including CPO and C1, is not an oversight or a glitch. It was included in the LDC in acknowledgement of the fact that not every type and size of emergency service facility is always going to be compatible with every particular location in those zones, and so case-by-case determinations need to be made by the Zoning Board of Adjustment or the Administrative Deviation Committee. And these case-by-case determinations involve public hearings where residents get notice and where residents and business owners can come and present their evidence, make their case if they believe that the particular location that's being proposed is not a compatible one, or perhaps needs to be made compatible with the addition of more requirements than what would normally be the case. So there's a reason for having the special use permit requirement, and that is understandable when you look at what are emergency services. They can include fire departments, sheriff substations, EMS rescue units, and emergency operations centers. What's in CPO? Offices, which can be doctors' offices, lawyers' offices, accountants' offices, psychiatrists' offices, cultural facilities, hospitals, nursing homes, assisted living facilities, child and adult daycare centers. some of those things, might be fine. Putting emergency services of facility of whatever type next to a hospital might work, but it might not work so well next to a daycare center or an accountant's office. So there needs to continue to be a case-by-case assessment of whether a particular location in CPO or C1 is really going to work in that particular place for that particular type of emergency services. And the pastors of the churches, remember, religious facilities is one of the things allowed in CPO. The pastors of the churches or the psychologists or whoever has their businesses there should have notice and the opportunity to be heard if they have a case to make that maybe this particular type of emergency services doesn't really belong in this particular location, and maybe it could be moved to a different location.
Very good. All right. Thank you, Mr. Woodward. Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a different perspective, Mr. Woodward, than you do on this. Section 125 Florida statute, public services are our first priority, and it says that in the statute. You know, years ago when we built some things, or we built a fire station, we built it on property that was convenient. But the audit said you really should have engaged the citizens to find out where it was going to be located at and the need of that. We're building a new fire station out near Baden-Powell at the Boy Scout because the need is out there. I don't think we should our hands should be tied in any zoning district when we're providing public safety services to our residents, period. And I take a different point of that. I think it's ludicrous that if something happened and they said, well, for example, in the CPO district and the daycare was there, well, you didn't get here fast enough. Well, the zoning board didn't allow us to put one there. I find that would be very disheartening for me as a commissioner. So I think we should throw the doors wide open on public safety. And wherever we can put something that can benefit our citizens, we should do that. And I feel very strongly about that. So thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I apologize. I need to ask you if we can go back to item number 5B, which was the vote you just took on the contractor licensing issue. I didn't know if we opened for a public hearing, and there was somebody that, my understanding, may have had a comment.
Okay.
So if we can open it, and then the board can decide.
The contractor's license. Is there any public comment? Oh, he waived. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
No matter how many times you do this, you can still make mistakes. We're all human. All right, moving on to consent agenda items. We have items A through F. Commissioner Palacier, do you have anything to pull?
I have none.
Commissioner Harvey? I have none. Commissioner Alexander?
I have none.
Commissioner Newbold?
None.
And I have none.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move approval of the consent agendas, items A, B, C, D, E, and F.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign, motion passes. Code Enforcement Fine Reduction a request. I said act. Codes case number 2007-00014. Mr. Thomas.
Madam Chair, is the applicant in the room today?
Doesn't look like it. Okay.
Madam Chair, since the applicant's not in the room and we've gotten this product ahead of time to pay attention, I'd like to make a motion on case 2007-00014 to state staff recommendation of $13.91 fine reduction if it's paid within 90 days.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you
Motion
very much,
passes. Thank you. All right, going into, before we go into new business, Ms. Young, if I could get you on the workshop to set up the workshop with our staff and to pick a date between staff and the commissioners, that would be great if you could be the
Be
point
happy to
person on
coordinate that for you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
New business. appointment of 2 members to the North Florida Economic Development Participation Board. As shown in your packet, we already have Commissioner Harvey, and we have Mark Linton, who is the Vice President of Economic Development at the Putnam County Chamber of Commerce. And they have both said that they would be willing to continue to serve, unless there's some other person on this board who'd like to serve. I do not want to. My schedule is pretty full. So
You
with
need a
that,
motion?
yes, please.
I'd like to make a motion that we retain Mr. Harvey, or Commissioner Harvey, and Mr. Linton, Vice President of Economic Development, to retain their seats on that board.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. That was easy. Public Works Pinal Store Road Drainage Easement. Mr. Stout, I don't know if you're doing a presentation on this, or Mr.
I can
Grimes?
take it, keep him from some steps. So
Okay.
this past summer, you all are aware that we had some drainage issues we had on Pinal Store Road.
Yep.
Public Works reached out to the landowner in the area. He gave us access to a small portion of his property. Go ahead, he's here.
Just to give an update, so we've already gone out with Ralph Severance. He gave us the easement. We're just asking you to accept the easement, and we've gone out and done 90% of the work already, where we've got the swale, we've got the drainage, we've installed a cross culvert, where we had the gravel that was in the road, and we've just got a little bit more work to do.
And just for clarity, that work was done in stuff that we already had rights
Correct.
to do that.
Correct.
So whenever we had flooding last year in this area off of Mud Lake, we had not seen such water in that area. And in my lifetime, I don't ever remember seeing water about to come across the road
Right.
on State Road 19.
On 19, yep.
And so what we were seeing is we had multiple issues, and I want to commend you and your staff for getting out there. We were in the middle of a transition until we got Commissioner Pelletier coming on board, but in the middle, he wasn't quite official, and so we had this transition, and I was out there myself, and I rode with you, and we looked at this particular area along with other things, and then I know you've been working in that area, and I appreciate that, because it was one of those things we could only do so much, and this was one of the areas, and I know that there was other discussions to try to get other easements, and we weren't successful from some of the neighbors. And I remember meeting Mr. Severance on the property, and us looking, and this definitely needs to be done in that area.
Yeah, we appreciate Mr. Severance. He was very willing to help the neighbors, and
Yeah,
do
it
what he
was
could to
bad.
help.
I mean, there was, in that area, there was literally water lapping up against people's houses, or within inches of people's houses. And so I don't know that this is the fix-all solution. I think that it definitely helps, and we'll have to continue to work in that area. So thank you for that. Is there any comments from the board?
I would move that we accept the proposed drainage easement.
All right, we have a motion on the floor.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion?
Madam Chair?
Yeah,
We should probably include the resolution number in the motion, I think.
okay. Commissioner Newbold.
Okay, where's our resolution? number?
Page 176.
76, I'm on 74.
Okay.
Okay, or,
Right there, at the top.
there we go. Resolution, Putnam County Resolution Number 2525.
Acceptance of drainage easement located at 122 Pinal Store Road. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, like sign. All right, motion passes, and we do thank Mr. Severance for his willingness to help us in that situation. All right, public comment on miscellaneous items. I did hear Commissioner Larry Harvey on the radio this morning inviting people to come, and so we're always welcome people to come and share with us their stories, good, bad, or indifferent. Public comment on miscellaneous items. This portion of the agenda is designed to allow citizens an opportunity to bring matters to the attention of the board. It is not reasonable to expect the board will engage in debate or deliberation about matters on which the board has received no prior information as part of the agenda. Please limit your time to 3 minutes. Public comment cards are conveniently located at the meeting room entrance and should be submitted to the meeting, prior to the meeting, to Deputy Clerk who sits on the right. Madam Clerk, do you have any? You do not. Is there anybody in the public who wishes to speak? All right. Moving on to appointments. Starting with Commissioner Alexander.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As most of you guys know, I take my appointments very seriously. I consider them my face and my representation to each one of these committees. So I sent out an ask to the community to find a qualified person to participate in one of our committees that is up and coming. That is the Transportation Safety Committee that you chair, Commissioner Wilkinson. And sometimes you can look far and wide and have to look far to find a candidate, or sometimes you can look right around the corner in your neighborhood. I found a lady that is in my neighborhood with 47 years of experience with Landstar, specializing in highway traffic safety. And her name is Sandy Edwards, and I would ask that you guys approve her to help with this issue we have.
All right, so that's your appointment?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, do we need to vote on each appointment? I think, okay, that is your appointment.
Okay.
All right, Commissioner Pellissier, do you have?
I have, are we talking about any of the appointment
Yeah,
boards?
you can go, is that your only appointment? Okay, yes, sir. If you want to go through any of the other ones beforehand, yeah.
I have a question for Mr. Commando first. My possible one for the Oversight Committee already serves on the Fair Board. Is it possible, can he do that or not?
I don't know enough about the Oversight Committee. I don't know enough about the Oversight Committee. Do they have the ability to expend tax dollars? And they don't have ultimate authority, everything will come back. So, yes, they can serve on both.
I'm sorry.
They can serve on both.
He can serve on both. My appointment for the Better Place, I have two, but one right now is Kyle Hines.
All right.
And for the State Road Task Force, Safety Task Force, again, like Commissioner Alexander said, thought and looked and thought and wondered, and a lifelong friend, and she was injured in an accident and almost lost her foot there right at Floor Home on 100. A kid pulled out in front of her. So I thought she would be an excellent. She lives in the area, and I thought that she'd be a really good one. Terry Kelly Missamore.
Okay.
She's about to be healed over that, I think, but she was very close to losing her foot in that thing. It was very bad.
I appreciate everyone taking the Safety Task Force very serious and with your recommendations. All right, Commissioner Newbold, do you have any appointments?
Only for the Safety Task Force as
Okay.
well. I know I've still got a couple standing
That's okay.
from my end, but I'd like to nominate Ed Killebrew. He lives in that area, travels the road regularly.
Okay. All right, Ed Killebrew for Mr. Newbold. All right. And Commissioner Newbold, my apologies. And then Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have one on the Safety Road Task Force. Had a few people contact me, but one really rose up to the top. Brent Coates, a retired highway patrolman who actually helped spearhead some of the FDOT task force on roads. So I'll be appointing Brent Coates from Interlaken to do that.
Very good. And I had several people reach out to me. I actually had about 5 or 6, and 2 of those were picked by my fellow colleagues, and I appreciate that. And with that being said, I think that Joe Theobald, who is the principal out at QI Roberts, would be a good choice. He did reach out to me, and he's willing to serve. So Joe Theobald is my appointment. And I have no other appointments. Does anybody else have any other appointments on the list? Okay, with that, we'll move on to Clerk of Court. Your comments, Mr. Reynolds. Clerk Reynolds.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair. Real quick, as an update on the audit, it hopefully should be issued today. So we're a few days past our goal of March 31st, but still early enough that I think it should be plenty of time for county staff and the budget process that'll be coming up in a couple of months. So we're aiming for even earlier next year. So hopefully we'll get it even before March 31st next year. But that should be coming out either today or I'm hoping today. But if not today, probably tomorrow. So I'll be sure to send that over to staff and make sure it gets to budget staff so that they can use that for doing the mid-year budget true-up and budget prep for next year. Also wanted to let the board know I have put my line item budget detail, budget versus actual, on my website. And working with ClearGov, it's a company that does transparency type websites. It formats it a little prettier than the way that I have it. It's just an Excel sheet with the data in it right now. But again, I mentioned that at the last meeting that I wanted to lead by example, so I went ahead and got that done. And happy to work with the board. I've been working with ClearGov on the board's budget versus actual data too. I think I've talked with several commissioners about that. So whenever the board is ready to have that detail turned on for the board too, I'd be happy to do that. And I think it would be a big gesture to the state as well as our residents to show that, we have nothing to hide. We're all about full transparency.
So I know we have that on your count, you have our audited budgets and
Yes.
our audited financial statements,
Yes, ma'am.
and then we have our budgets on the county's website. So
Yes.
tell me what ClearGov would give us that we don't already have out there, I guess.
So the way that the budget is posted, it's not necessarily budget versus actual as the year is going on, at least to the line item detail.
Uh-huh.
And so this would just show more detail into the county's finances. Like in the financial statements, those figures are rolled up into different categories, and they don't exactly give you all the way down into the weeds to show those, what was spent in individual lines. So.
Okay, I think you've sent that to me, and I took a look at it, but I would like for you to go ahead and share it with the other commissioners.
Sure.
And then before we can make a decision on that, and admin staff as well, obviously, and then I think we can revisit that. I did have a conversation with the supervisor of elections, and he indicated, I don't want to put him on the spot, but he did indicate that he would be willing to add his financials, budget stuff to the county's
Wonderful.
website. So,
Good.
Mr. Ritchie, if you'll get with him, I believe that Mr. Overturf is willing to do the same. So that'd be great. We have two constitutionals that are
That's great to
doing
hear.
that, and that's great to hear. And I appreciate you leading by example. Do you have any other comments?
No, ma'am.
Are
That's
there
it.
any questions for Clerk Reynolds? All right, moving on to County Attorney Commando.
Nothing today, thank you.
All right, County Administrator Suggs.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have any comments today per se for work other than this one. Would like for us to welcome Ms. Frida Brown. Ms. Brown is our new administrative assistant.
Hi, welcome.
And I'm sure she's excited to be here, but probably not as excited as Laura Berardi is to have her here.
Right.
But, I just want to also give a shout out to Ms. Berardi. She does a phenomenal job. She handles that front desk. She handles our commission agenda. She sits in our pre-agenda meetings and gets everything out that we need to have out to be able to discuss in a public meeting like this. But also, she does a great job with our newsletter. Hope everybody's receiving the newsletter. And, so I just want to personally thank her for that, because the more information we get out, the better we are. Laura's doing a great job. So just wanted to say thank you personally and publicly to Laura this morning. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. That was actually on my list. I'm going to mark through it, but I would like to, and Laura,
Well-
thank you for doing the newsletter. I think it's continuing to get more information out publicly, but I also want to tell our commissioners to please invite your friends on Facebook to sign up and share it on Facebook, because we have to get some more people signed up. Yes, sir.
And I apologize, I do have one more comment. I want to thank our County Attorney, Mr. Rich Commando, who is a Florida State graduate, for reminding me here this morning to say, how about those Florida Gators, national champions? So go Gators.
You know Harvey was going to talk about that. You know he was. All right. Are you?
That ends my comments, Madam Chair.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Deputy Administrator Young or Grimes, do you have any comments? Okay. Moving on to Commissioner Alexander. A for first.
Yeah, I always seem to be at the front of the class. No, it's to me, another positive meeting. I know we've got the safety committee is a big deal. That's close to all of our hearts. I like to see that moving forward. I think we've got some great people in place there. Wanted to talk about the Catfish Festival. Went down there with our South Putnam Commissioner representative there and our county administrator. Had a good time, met some people, and then our elder statesman handed me the microphone. Surprise, surprise, I need you to speak. I just wanted to make note of that. It caught me off guard. But we've had a good weekend. The boat ramps you've gotten the updates on those. I'm very happy to welcome Ms. Sandy to the committee, and really, I'm excited about the future for Putnam County.
Me too. Commissioner Pellicer, are you ready?
Yes. We talk about social media. There's a, and I hope I'm right when I say this, Mr. Suggs or Mr. Stout might clarify this, that our water project on East River Road has been canceled. That is not true. That has been suspended, correct?
That is correct. We're talking about the Army Corps project. So everything is completed, everything is done. Hopefully we'll get our final letters from the Army Corps any day now, and hopefully that funding will be unsuspended and we can get that project moving.
That's the clear word that I want to get out there of this. It's been snatched and taken away, and that's just not true. And you hear me talk about image and how we're perceived and looked upon, and having been a lifer here, we've sometimes had not just one black eye, but two black eyes. And I like to always talk about anything that's positive or uplifting or that is moving in a right direction. And I understood it took a little bit of an undertaking, but I was not involved. But I was glad to go by the Putnam Business Park and see that our sign has been clean, painted, shined, and buffed, and got a shiny red bow on top. I mean, it looks good. The only other information I have for y'all is that some of you may clap with joy and some of you may be sad. I will not be at the next meeting. I will have some outpatient surgery done, and it's done on Monday before our meeting on Tuesday, and I will not be mobile. So, but I should be able to come back to the meeting thereafter.
Well, you're going to have some homework because, that's when our, our impact fee study comes in.
We'll
So,
send my daughter's by to pick it up.
yeah, you'll have some homework to do.
I think my wife could help him get down here. We have some wheelchairs.
Oh, you have some
Yeah,
wheelchairs? Okay. All right. We'll make him come. No, that's good. I'm glad you're being able to get that handled.
Yes.
Is that it?
That's it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right. Commissioner Newbold.
I don't have a whole heck of a lot. I really appreciate the Commissioner Alexander and Harvey participating in the Catfish Festival. It was a beautiful day of weather. The Rotary Club of Crescent City and really the Rotary clubs around Putnam County came in and pulled off a great event. A lot of catfish sold. A lot of people had a good time. Larry did a fantastic job at emceeing, keeping everything rolling and lighthearted. It was much appreciated. I want to thank the county IT staff for getting me back going. Good grief. Anyway, I didn't realize how many emails I had not received yet. So anyway, to those of you who haven't received an email from me, you'll get one soon. I think that's really all I have. It feels like we've got good momentum. I'll be glad to see the impact fee study. We'll get into some meat, and that'll be a big step for Putnam County. Anyway, thank you, guys.
All right. Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And the Bible says to be instant in season and out of season, Commissioner Alexander. So whenever the microphone's on, okay. Commissioner Newbold didn't have a problem at all doing that. So
I did make a point earlier though at the presentation yesterday at the Robert Jenkins Middle School. And don't take this the wrong way, but I don't believe there's a microphone that you can walk by that you don't love and speak through.
I have a comment on that about him and the microphone. I attended a very nice thing in Interlaken yesterday. One of our teachers in school was awarded $60,000 from Florida Power and Light. They're celebrating their 100th year in service, I think. The teacher's classroom was given $50,000 for, I would think, some massive upgrades of technology or something in this, and the educational foundation, I think, is getting $10,000. But Miss Abby Anderson?
Allie Anderson.
Allie Anderson.
Yep.
And she was beaming from ear to ear. And but sure. The point making throughout the whole deal, microphone wouldn't work, and Commissioner Harvey walked up there and he waved his magic wand and the special touch, and voila, we had loud Harvey. So he has a way with those things.
Well, thank you again, and also I want to give a shout out to our Putnam County Fair Board. Years ago I served on that fair board when I was a lot younger, and I saw a T-shirt the other day online that says you don't know tired till you're Fair Week tired, right, Commissioner Newbold? Right. You understand that comment. So many of our Fair Board members bring a camper there. They stay. They're there 24/7 for the whole week, and not just that week. That week is pretty easy for them compared to the weeks ahead of time and behind getting over the fair of cleaning things up and getting prepared. But it's all for the benefit of the youth of Putnam County, and was able to be at the fair a lot this year and was able to walk around at Friday night, the buyer's dinner, and Commissioner Palatka cooking hundreds of cows that look like back there, steaks, if you will. But, it's all for the benefit of our Putnam County youth. And it was a great fair, and I just want to give a shout out to our fair board for that. Catfish Festival was a Chamber of Commerce day, beautiful day down in Crescent City. I think it was a pretty good crowd, a large crowd. I know the food was fantastic. Former Commissioner Pickens had his staff down there doing the swamp cabbage, and he does an excellent job at that. And it's just an honor to go down there and be a part of that. Do want to give a shout out to where credit's due, and that Julianne, if you will. I called you Saturday. I'm on stage at the Catfish Festival. My phone's ringing in my pocket. West Putnam field out there is having sewer backup. Julianne made a few calls, and I understood this morning that JR was one of those calls that was made.
Chairman, while I appreciate you, I did nothing but be a liaison. I was not even in Putnam County. I called JR, who was home enjoying his Saturday, and he made some phone calls, and before you know it, you had JR and Chris LeDuc and Tim White and Howard Hughes all out there for hours working on the septic system to make sure that those kids could play and the patrons had functioning restrooms.
And, we haven't used that field in years because there was no, I'm not going to put money into something that somebody doesn't use. So we kind of expected a few hiccups, and we worked. But Julianne, truly, the staff has worked very hard to get those fields back up and running, the fences back up from being tore down. I got a call from St. Augustine that day, what's the matter with you people? Why aren't you doing this? We are doing this. We can't help that there's people out there that want to tear our situations up and our product up. But truly, JR, thank you for going to bat and grabbing your team, going out there and getting that done on a Saturday. That's above and beyond, and we appreciate it more than you know.
And the credit really truly goes to Tim White, Howard Hodges, Chris LeDuc, and Dalton, our road supervisor from out in Interlochen. And time I got there, they had already had a plan, and they did a great job, phenomenal. That we had to make a couple trips up to Ace and got the stuff to get them fixed, but they got them running. They immediately, Chris had some porta potties delivered and fixed the situation the best to his availability on that Saturday. I'll give it. When Julianne told me or Miss Young told me there was an opening day at Interlochen, I'm like, this thing can't be that busy. Well, I got out there, and there must have been 500 people and no bathroom. And I'll give it to the citizens. There was nobody out there complaining. There truly wasn't. They were having a great time. They were with their families. We ended up digging up the septic system right there that day. Nobody complained. It was a beautiful day. You could not have put one more person down there on those fields. Every one of them had activity on it, from the little T-ballers all the way to what appeared to be Major League Baseball quality, And I told her, I said, the amazing thing was, I said, everybody has to be at Interlochen today. Well, I left there and went to Melrose, and it was packed too. So all the teams were not in Interlochen. But, it was just a beautiful thing to see that much activity at a park that hasn't been used in however long. It was a beautiful day. Hopefully that we can get that field up in a shape that it can be used by the citizens out there, because it truly was. When I pulled up down there on Twin Lakes Boulevard and the cars were lined down Twin Lakes Boulevard, and I was like, oh, Lord. Especially with a bathroom problem, right? But, it wasn't 45 minutes after we got there. We had porta potties set. Everything was fine. and that we could not have done it if it wouldn't have been for those folks from Parks and Recreation. Matter of fact, Dalton was out there watching his child play, and he stepped right in there, grabbed his shovel out of his truck. Everybody started digging, and the problem was resolved, but we had issues we had to work through, but it's back up and running now, so we should be in good shape.
Well, I think it's notable to let the public know that, this was a field that hasn't been used, and all of a sudden, we sunk a lot of money. I put personally some of my capital improvement money into that to get that field up and running, because we made a promise. Once you start, we'll help. And they decided to move forward with organized sports again out there. And, septic's always back up at the wrong time. Christmas Eve, Easter Sunday, graduation at my house with 13 girls in the house. I mean, always happens that time. But, y'all overcome, and I greatly appreciate it. And so that's the end of that comment. And if you didn't stay up till 11:30 last night or later to watch our Florida Gators win the national championship, what an awesome team they were. And if you think basketball is a finesse sport, you're farly misguided. It should be in pads and helmet watching these guys play, because it was brutal. They were physical. But congratulations to the Florida Gators. And my tie and my pin has my Florida Gators, and I'm very proud to be a Florida Gator. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Appreciate all the comments and you guys covering for me. I wasn't able to make everything. I didn't get out to Interlaken. I didn't get to the Catfish Festival. I didn't get out to all the different places, but I appreciate. But I look at the pictures and I see them. We're all represented. We all cover for each other, so thank you. Just want to let everybody know that tomorrow is our AHAC meeting, our Affordable Housing Committee meeting at 10 o'clock. It is open to the public. We're doing a little bit different besides just our normal meeting. We're also having several presentations. One of them is the Homeless Coalition. We have Habitat for Humanity, Catholic Charities, and another one I can't remember that'll be presenting and just sort of telling us what's going on in their organizations. And the idea of it is, what can we, as the Affordable Housing Committee, work with them on? And so that's a different way of looking at things than we have in the past. And so we're going to bring them up and let them each have some time and speak to that committee. Also, I want to say the fairgrounds. Of course, I know we've talked about that and what a great job they did, but I had a thought, and I wanted to run it by you. I'm shooting from the hip a little bit here. On that exhibit hall where that asphalt is not even, can we take the equipment that we use to fill in? You know how we have the asphalt paving machine that we just got last year? Can we run that down those center rows and fill in that asphalt? And the exhibit halls, you know how in the exhibit halls it's bumpy? Inside the buildings, can you do that? Can you? Is there enough? I'd like for us to sort of look at it, because it'd be nice if we have the equipment and it's just a matter. And if I have to give you, I don't know what we have to do, but when I was walking through there, I'm like, we got this nice new paving machine. Can we use it on that in that building?
Can I shoot from the hip and tell you maybe?
Maybe. Okay. Yeah.
We're going to look at it. I don't want to commit to it right here this morning. I need to look at exactly the scope of work you're talking about. But if we can, we absolutely will.
You get where I'm coming from?
I do. Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
I just need to make sure that everything would work. If it will, that we'll evaluate it.
There's some trip hazards in there, and I just think if there's something that the county could do to make that easier for walking. And I just thought about that asphalt machine. I was like, wonder if that thing fits in here. And if it does, let's use it. So
okay.
That's my idea.
We will absolutely look into that. Thank you.
And then also, of course, we know we have the fair building, the new fair building that's been discussed, and we had a presentation here. So if I could have Mr. Grimes, if he would be willing to maybe go and to the next fair board meeting, if they will have you, and just give a little bit of an update. It shouldn't take long, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and just give an update of what's going on with that building. I'd like for the Fair Authority to have an update on that as well.
Oh, certainly.
Thank you. And then just wanted to let you know that the Bread of Life is having their Harvest for Hungry event this Saturday at Coventry Oaks. Starts at 5 o'clock. If you're interested in going, you can get tickets from me or Kim Daly. It's a beautiful event. What they do is they try to use it's a farm-to-table event. And what they try to do is use local vendors and local foods, as much as from local honey, local meat, everything, and then it's presented. It's beautiful. It really is. And it's their major fundraiser for the year, and they do a great job in the community feeding people. And if you want to go, let me know. And then, of course, I'm going to give a shout out on April 26th for our Bostwick Blueberry Festival. I know most of us go out there and work, and if we don't, Miss Linda Bazaar will give us something to do. But anyway, so I just want to remind y'all and everybody on that. And then, lastly, a couple times I've been really thinking about a future public meeting with the city and the county, and Mr. Suggs and I have been going over it. You know, what is it that would work? And we've done a meeting in the past, like years ago. I want something that would be like, I hate to say it, but getting us on first base. Like, we need to have some kind of a meeting, I think, that would be beneficial to both them and us. And I mentioned, I think at the last meeting, talking about maybe annexation versus non-annexation, but extending of water. I don't know that that's the first meeting we have, but I just want y'all to tell me if there's anything particular, or you can talk to Mr. Suggs or Mr. Leanne about ideas that you have would be a great meeting for us to have. I think there's something, we really need to come together with the city of Palatka. There's a lot of things, you know, we've talked about working collaboratively, but we really haven't had we do it on the side, but what would be a good public meeting to have? Commissioner Alexander?
Madam Chair, I really appreciate you bringing that up, because that has been top of my list as far as collaborating with the city. I attend the majority of the city commission meetings, and I do have conversation with all the city commission city commissioners, as well as the new city manager.
Right.
It's everything we've had has been positive, but I agree, as they do, that we would like to move forward with a more formal meeting.
Yeah.
And I would like to volunteer for that.
Yeah, and I just don't want us to sit around and talk. I want us to have an agenda, a specific agenda, an item, an action item. Maybe it's one from them and one from us. I don't know. So I think if you have ideas as to what that action item could be, or discussion, it doesn't necessarily have to be an action item, but one. I don't want it to be too long, but it needs to be something for us to get started.
Right. And so to that point, I'm going to pose the question to the rest of my commissioners. Is that something that each of you would like to attend?
Yeah, if we do an open meeting like that, it would be their council and our council meeting together, our commissions, meeting together as a whole. It would be public advertised. But again, I'd want it to be an agenda, like what's our agenda? What's our specific, I just don't want us to sit around and waste time and money.
Okay, well, I will talk to Mr. Suggs. I know he's leaving shortly. Maybe Julianne can help me with that while he's gone, and I'll reach out to Marcia and see what her ideas are, their scheduling, and what might work for both groups.
Yeah, I know there's a couple subjects that are big discussions, so I don't know that that's where we start. I think if we can start with something.
Yeah, a little low-key introductory and learn each other's personalities and what our goals are for the community, and then kind of transition into those topics.
I agree, and I appreciate that. But yeah, any ideas, please, let's have that discussion, because it is something I want to see us do going forward.
Okay, I will get with Ms. Holmes and see what we can go do.
And if you have any ideas, please share them.
That's the comment I was going to make, is I think it's a great thing, Madam Chair and Commissioner Alexander, that we do work together. We are a team. We are one. Let's work as one. And find out what their issues are with us and us with them, and see if we can't pull this thing together to make a better Putnam and a better Palatka.
Yeah.
But also a tip of the hat to you, Madam Chair, on your idea about the flooring in the exhibit area, because I, too, as I was walking through there, if you're looking at the exhibits and not watching where your feet, you can fall down, and it about happened to me twice while I was going through there, because it is very uneven. Hopefully that machine would fit in there, and that would be a great thing if we could do that.
Yeah,
that would really dress it up.
Let's all cross our fingers on that one.
Yes.
If not, then maybe we'll have to come up with another solution. So with that, that's all my comments. Is there anything else from the board? All right, thank you and have a good day, and talk to you later.